shadows that move silently, with names never uttered aloud. But the one who watches in secret has revealed this, and nothing can be concealed when heaven's hour comes. She wasn't meant to break, but she did. The spiritual woman's hands were trembling last night. Her voice lacked the assurance it formerly had. The altar shook. The fire would not remain lighted. The elements deceived her. The water in her bowl spilled without a touch, and the smoke from the incense reversed, creeping back into her mouth and strangling her rather than clearing the route she had put out for you, because a contract was signed, with both her hands and his money. Someone you trusted gave her what she asked for, not money or silver, but something more valuable. Your name, a portrait, your birth date, and a curse shouted with malicious purpose. And she accepted it without hesitation. She did what she always does. She opened her books, shouted out names you didn't recognize, and started to create a web of stillness around you. That is why you felt so down. That's why doors shut, people became chilly, and you started to doubt your own purpose. She wasn't just casting magic. She was introducing delays into your environment. In the spirit, she was mudslinging your name. She stated things like, "They will not rise, they will not be seen, they will be forgotten until their breath runs out." But something occurred last night. When she attempted to sleep, she saw a figure wearing white robes standing near her bed. He wasn't asleep. He wasn't smiling. He held a wind blade, and his words penetrated her bones silently. He did not raise his voice. He didn't talk the way mortals do. He just pointed to her ceiling, then to the name she had written on the paper. Your name. And her spirit started to unravel. Despite the fact that she had candles going, her room became frigid. The shadows she believed were obeying her began to speak behind her, and her voice could no longer command them. Because the arrangement she made had a stipulation: she must never fear what she sees. But last night, she saw something bigger than her eyes were designed to see, and she broke. She muttered, "I revoke it. I undo it. I cancel what I've done." But it wasn't enough, because heaven had already started to reverse her actions, not because of her words, but because another voice was saying your name. Someone is sobbing for you. Someone on earth mourned for you, even if they didn't know the whole tale. They sobbed, in the manner that only the desperate can, and the sound soared beyond her spell. This explains why you have been waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. This explains why you have been having strange dreams, because your soul has been battling in regions where your body cannot go, and now the tide has turned. Finally, God exposes everything. The individual who made the transaction with her assumed no one would know.
Chevy makes affordable vehicles that help you enjoy life.
He went away from her doorway with a false sense of tranquility. He saw your silence as affirmation that his request was successful. He even grinned as you failed. But yesterday night also proved to be his undoing, because the lady has turned against him, not voluntarily, but by coercion. And she will now talk about topics she had pledged to keep silent. She'll be revealed. But more than that, she will say his name, not in secret, but in judgment. You are being pulled from the net that was placed in the spirit world. The unseen ties that bind your progress are being burnt. The words uttered above your name are being reversed. And you must realize that the cause for your delay was not a lack of effort. It was this: a concealed hand reaching into your life with the approval of someone you once embraced. He granted her access to your life out of jealousy. He didn't seem to be a danger, but he carried a bitterness that grew quietly until it was lethal. She took that bitterness and used it to build an altar, but she couldn't complete it. not because of her strength, but because of your own, because of your call, because of the one who predetermined your fate before you were born. Heaven burst open just as she sought to close it, and Michael the archangel dropped into her chamber. That's what she saw. That's who stood beside her bed. That is the one who reversed the smoke and reflected her own words back at her. And now you must use caution, not fear, because the next 9 days are sacrosanct. During this period, certain things will be returned to you privately, while others will begin to fall in public. He will be exposed, the one who offered your name to be bound. His face will quiver when he learns of your triumph. His body will weaken at the news of your development, not because of what you do to him, but because of what heaven has already started releasing in your name. The woman's hands will tremble for the next 3 weeks. She will be unable to cast again, because the spiritual portal she opened was shut by fire from above, and her name is now on a list that she cannot remove. Your dreams are going to return, the correct ones, not the hazy shadows, but the vivid visions. Your thoughts will feel lighter in the morning, your hunger will return, and the weight in your chest, the one that made no sense, the one that arrived unexpectedly, will lift. Because the weight was spiritual, it has now been lifted. There is one thing left to do. Forgive. You must forgive. Not because they deserve it, but because your next promotion relies on having clean hands. Your freedom is protected, but in order to advance, you must not bear their wrongdoing in your heart. It will be difficult, especially once you see their name, when you hear what they say about you while you were not present, when you discover how they celebrated after your pain. But don't curse them. Bless them with quiet. Move ahead in peace. You are being monitored right now, not by them, but by heaven. And heaven is waiting to see whether your next move is worthy of what has been planned for you. Do not write about it. Do not send indirect communications. Do not disclose anything you know. Let them fall silently, and let your rising be louder than any reaction you could ever provide. The lady will attempt to reach you in subtle ways, via someone, symbols, or unexpected coincidences. She will not beg for forgiveness directly, but she will attempt to test if the door is still open. It isn't. Close it silently. Allow your soul to declare your boundaries, then walk away. The restoration has started, but fulfillment is arriving, in stages. Things that were previously kept back will be returned to you one by one. Your name has been rewritten in the spirit, and now bears the seal of heavenly authority. Speak kindly, walk modestly, trust profoundly, and know this. God declares, they will not stop what I have said, even if they meet again, even if they devise another plan. They won't touch you, because the covenant around you has been rewritten with fire. Those that come into contact with fire end up being burnt. You're not the same as you were before. You are not defenseless, you're not forgotten, and you're no longer delayed. Beginning today, the adventure will take an unusual.
It's Pod's biggest sale in history. Save up to 30% on moving and storage until May 19th, and see why
Withdraw themselves without reason. Do not pursue them. That's part of the clearing. The void they leave behind will be filled by genuine relationships. Strange favors will find you in unexpected places, and with individuals you have never met. Some people will aid you without realizing why. Others will bless you without any questions. That is not a coincidence. That's heavenly recompense. Someone is coming into your life with keys, not just metaphorical ones, but real keys. For a home, seeking an opportunity, apply for a role. For a while you felt you'd lost. You did not lose it, it was delayed, because you were not intended to enter there with that curse on your back. However, now that it is broken, you will enter cleanly, and those who watched you crawl will see your flight. There is a sound being made in heaven over your name. It's not a trumpet, it's not a bell. This is the sound of laughing, because heaven rejoices. Despite being targeted, the individual survived. Someone struck a pact with a spiritual lady to thwart your destiny. Last night, however, the lady was unable to continue. Her hands trembled. Her sleep was disturbed by images she couldn't control. Her breath was taken away by the dread of what she saw standing behind you. Light. Fire. The voice of the Most High shouting your name out loud. She couldn't go any farther, and the shackles they instructed her to bind around your root crumbled to the ground like dust. She lighted the candle to drown out your words, but it split in her palm and the wax scorched her flesh. The name they breathed into the ritual vanished in the wind, leaving your name higher than her altar. She intended to push something bad against your advancement, but heaven stood in her way. Nothing shifted in their favor. You were encircled, not by males, not through threats, not via human effort, but by the hand of the Lord, who knew this plan before it was formed in their thoughts. This is not fiction. This is not a narrative. It's a spiritual truth veiled behind silence. But tonight the stillness ends, because heaven witnessed it. The deal. The words. The deal. The moment one soul requested another to meddle with what God had already written. However, you are not under their contract. You're not under their influence. You are not under their silence. You are not under.
Once again, you lose, Satan. All glory goes to God. Now, folks, keep an eye on the weather. There is very bad weather down south here in Indiana, heading up north here, northeast. So be safe. It is crappy out, warm, crappy. So maybe we'll get some heat lightning tonight if this thing sticks around. It's moving fairly fast. You folks have a good night. God bless. And I'll be back here shortly.